friends, this is Anjali Krishnan, Assistant Professor, PG Department of English, Don Bosco College, Kottayam. Welcome to the third lecture on post-colonial theory. So what is decolonization? Decolonization is the undoing of colonialism, the process by which colonies become independent of the colonizing country. Yes, the growth of nationalism among native peoples in European countries like Asia, Africa have often played an enormous role in the process of decolonization. To say it is a set of practices and processes that seek to dismantle the colonized binary, rectifying the social, political and cultural disposition of people. So what are the factors that led to decolonization? To note it down, the first one, after World War II, European countries lacked the wealth and political support necessary to suppress faraway revolts. And they could not oppose, the Britishers could not oppose the new superpowers like the US and the Soviet Union's stand against colonialism. Again, there were strong independent movements in colonies. So between 1945 and 1960, 36 new states in Asia and Africa achieved autonomy or independence from their European colonial rulers. Moving to nativism. It is the political policy of promoting the interest of native inhabitants against those of immigrants. So it is the love of mother country, the native identity. Then what is anti-colonial? Anti-colonial refers to the opposition or resisting colonialism. Something that is opposed to colonial rule of one country by another. Neo-colonialism. It is the continued exercise of political or economical influence over a society or a nation in the absence of formal political control. So there is no formal official control, political control, but there is in the absence of that political control, there is a economic or political exercise of power. It aims at reinforcing capitalism, neoliberal globalization. So it is the worst form of imperialism. Yes, it is the control of less developed countries by developed countries through indirect means. And the term was first used after World War II to refer to the continuing dependence of former colonies on foreign countries. But today, neo-colonial governance is seen as operating through indirect forms of control, in particular by means of the economic, financial and trade policies of transnational corporations and global institutions. Thus, it is the unequal economic and power relations that currently exist between former colonies and former colonizing nations. Next, ethnicity. It is the state of belonging to a social group that has a common national or cultural tradition. Yes, it is a phenomenon of social differentiation in which the elements or the factors, the actors are cultural. So it is linked with cultural expression and identification and refers to shared cultural characteristics such as language, ancestry, practices, beliefs, etc. Then negritude. It is a literary movement born out of the Paris intellectual environment of 1930s and 40s. It was a product of black writers joining together through the French language to assert their cultural identity and aimed at raising and cultivating black consciousness across African and its diaspora, celebrating African culture and heritage. From a political point, it was an important aspect to the rejection of colonialism. It made an impact on how the colonized view themselves. The movement's founders like Césaire, while studying in Paris with his intellectual friends in 1931, began to publish the first journal devoted to negritude, named The Black Student, 1934. The term was coined by Césaire in his work Notebook of a Return to the Native Land. And in his words, the movement, or what he calls this negritude, means the simple recognition of the fact that one is black, the acceptance of this fact and of our destiny as blacks, of our history and culture. In its beginnings, negritude was truly an international movement. It drew inspiration from the flowering of African American culture, which brought about by the Harlem Renaissance, and found a home in the canon of French literature. Imagined communities. An imagined community is a concept developed by Benedict Anderson in his 1983 book, Imagined Communities, to analyze nationalism. He depicts a nation as a socially constructed community, imagined by the people who perceive themselves as part of that group. So a nation is a socially constructed community, and its people imagine themselves or perceive themselves as part of that community or imagined group. It is called an imagined political community. Imagined because the member of the smallest nation will never know most of their fellow members or even hear of them, but they imagine they are also part of that community, politically, socially, in all different ways.